Talk for a second, if you would, about and whether this is meaningful or not to you, about being a woman in business, starting business now 30 years ago. Your 30th anniversary will be next month, the 30th anniversary of Nell Hill's. And you started at a time when, not completely unusual, but not as usual as it is today, for sure, about a woman being in business, a single woman, a young single woman being in business, running a retail operation. Was that tough?
Well, it would have been impossible if I hadn't had a father that would co-sign notes. But I also remember my mother, my dad built, back in the 60s, urban renewal came into Atchison. We were one of the first malls. Unfortunately, we'll be one of the last to be ripped out. But anyway, one of the first malls in the United States put in. And my dad built a building, and he had a ladies' ready-to-wear and a large men's clothing operation. And at one point, he came home and he told my mother, who was a homemaker, that she was going to have to, he needed her, she was going to have to come in and start working full-time and take over the ladies' ready-to-wear. And it wasn't her choice. She loved being a homemaker, but she did it. And I remember going to market with her, and I somehow could talk her out of taking me out of school and going down. And the market then was in Dallas, the ladies' ready-to-wear. It was really big. Well, it was all run by men. It was men salesmen, men buyers. There were very few women in it. And my mom is a really tiny person. She weighs now about 85 pounds, but then she didn't weigh that much more. And real little, real petite. And I remember her working with a salesman, and he was just kind of a little bit condescending. And he was kind of telling her what she could and she couldn't do. And with that, I remember, I'm in high school, or junior high. And I remember she standing up, she took the order, she tore it in half, and she handed it to him, and she said, "Thank you, I won't be needing your line." And she turned on her heel and walked out. And of course, I'm just following behind her. And I'm thinking, at the time, I didn't know what it was a lesson. I was probably thinking at the time, I'm embarrassed. But I realized later how strong she was and how savvy she was. Now, in my industry, there's tons of women now, and there's not any. There isn't a big deal. But there were fewer women 30 years ago, but really watching her, kind of taught me some lessons.
And watching your mother and maybe some of the other women in Atchison, is that model something for you that's kept with you?
Well, you had kind of mentioned to me when we visited about Amelia Earhart, if she was kind of a model, and I said, not really. I mean, she was just always this wonderful story. But, growing up in a small town, there's so many women, whether it's your friends' mothers or just women that you know from coming in the shops. And, what's so interesting is, and I think that's what was so fun in Atchison and is in Kansas City, is everyone has a story. Every human has a story. And so watching a lot of these women, whether they were raising, large family and they were widowed at a young age or whatever, growing up in a small town, you get so many role models.
There are lots of small town heroes. Mm-hmm.